Literally Racist is a website from the late 1990s. Wait, 2019? Yeah, okay, it's a contemporary website that looks like this. It collates all the ways those seducers are calling everything racist now. That's what they do, isn't it? The seducers, they call everything racist now. They refuse to have sex with you, and they think you're racist. It's useful to collect all of these overreactions together. There's a lot of content on the site, but it's not automated. 360 things in 3 years. They vetted this to prove a good point with their website. So of course you'll start with the strong one. White people are racist just for being white. So maybe that's an article about the myth of whiteness, how it has no uniform genetic factor and is a cultural construct, and we see people of mixed heritage as non-white because one drop is enough. Maybe that's what they've got this title from. There's a horribly low-resolution screen grab of the headline, and hey, this is from 99. And the only thing called racist is a forum that I can't find any traces of online, but the journalist was specifically browsing for racist content. The article is about a neo-Nazi spree killer and white power skinheads. Like, is that what's being mistakenly called racist? This article was a good read, but it doesn't make any claims that match this headline. Like, if the creators of this site are pretending it says that, then I'd have to wonder if they sympathize with white supremacists. I mean, rhetorically, they definitely do, but maybe they don't realize they do. It's just not a great example to lead with, and he dug back 20 years to make that clunker. Okay, racist for only wanting to date white people? That's just a semantic cert. Like, it's true if you understand words. The article's headline has something similar, but distinct. Note that headlines are often written by a separate person. Then the content doesn't specifically answer that question, but explores it well. If you really must boil it down, I guess this article says that the obviously racist thing is racist, but it doesn't really need to because it's obvious. Maybe they put that obvious one in as a contrast to these next two to show that the racist accusers have covered every base. Racist for dating black men. Women are racist. No, not really. They could have scrolled just a little bit. Really, I think this article does show women of various races being racist, but the article doesn't actually use the adjective. It also shows how we learn to get past our prejudices, but the site owners are not into that. This article doesn't come close to the claim that it's racist of white women to date black men. It makes different observations, and they're far more interesting. The comments are fucking racist, though. Want to put that on the site? Colin says the comments are racist? Then racist for dating black women. You know quotation marks, right? Like, your comprehension skills are fucking low, but you must have done finger quotes. Let me begin by saying. I guess they didn't read this far into the article. It's a personal piece, and it's quite scattered. Really, it doesn't match the headline. The problem isn't mentioned unless it's this experience of racial fetishization. The word problem is used for several other things in the article. It's literally got I'm not opposed to dating outside of my race in it. I think we can write this one off. Not the article I'd pick if I wanted to show the claim that white people dating black women is inherently racist. But it's racist to have a one-night stand. This will be one of those weird ones where it's suggested that an interpersonal interracial experience is racist because it's perpetuating echoes of slave owners or something, right? I've not read it yet. Okay, now I have. It's just literally a one-night stand with a racist. Racist people are literally racist. Traditional families, a very red flag term. That's an infrared flag. Oh, okay, this is academic level. Like, it was written for people who might understand stuff, but it's found the wrong audience on this site. She's talking about the nuclear family and failing to deal with one's own racism. It's similar to that thing about whiteness as an exclusionary social construct. Jessie has a good point about intergenerational wealth, and note how neither she nor Fox mentioned tradition. The term nuclear family is of course a great American tradition going back all the way to the early 20th century. But the way the site developers got traditional from white says something they don't want to say out loud. Okay, polyamory. This will make me squirm. Headline: Why do we think polyamory is only for the rich, white, and privileged? Please at least read the headline before you link it. So it's not polyamory that's the problem, but this article explores the differences in terminology. These articles are really interesting, and this website has proven really useful in gathering them. If the site staff had read and understood the articles, then they wouldn't have been able to put them on the site. They're ignorant is a service. These babies articles observe the same thing, that babies show racial bias. And not just white babies. Isn't that fucking obvious? Like, people who've not learned much about diversity in society are gonna be more racist. Babies and conservatives. Haircuts. This is specifically Macklemore no longer having a particular haircut. It's not even a plural, it's one haircut that he chose to no longer have. And the whole thing was a joke. Terrible one to start on, nail salons. That's so much a thing. If you listen to a black woman ever, you'll know that's a thing. Actually, maybe that statement was racist of me. Read this article though and learn about the very real racism of beauty salons. This one is way too complex, but making someone change their name to be in your job. Again, a revelatory article. Doesn't exactly make the statement, but sure gives the evidence. Hairstyling employment can involve racism and transphobia. 4 left in the paragraph. Just put in 1 home run so your site does what you intend from it. There are bad articles out there and people who are predisposed to calling things racist without evidence. I won't defend those. You can just put a tweet from a teenager if you want. Okay, body hair. The article doesn't state that it's racist to remove body hair. It's just an interesting, faceted perspective involving somebody's gendered and racialized experience. Underarm. That's a damning headline, but it's the Daily Wire. The source article is basically the same as the prior one. But maybe that's racist of me. Doesn't use the term racist, gives an interesting and faceted perspective. I almost missed this one because they have the wrong link, but the closest thing to a mention of racism is someone mentioning not being white and how white standards don't fit her. Okay, getting past the weird obsession with hair. Beauty standards. This article is long and offers plenty of evidence, like if you recognize even one of these 10 points then it's justified, but all 10 are true. Beauty standards are one of the most racist things. But there are female things, so that further abstracts them from conservative understanding. That's the intro paragraph. That's 16 out of 360 articles. I could do another 21 videos for the rest, but these are the ones they served up as if they're best, and there's nothing. Maybe a pointedly ignorant reading of the tweets from a small-name academic would come up as bad, and that race dating opinion piece was a bit shoddy, but otherwise I've learned a lot about racism. Thank you, accidentally informative website. Maybe that paragraph just wasn't the right lead, so I'll flick through the staff favorites. Beaches are racist. Yeah, when they're segregated they are. Racist histories come up a lot on this site, and I don't know if they're trying to claim these histories are not racist. Climate change. There's no way I can agree to call a natural phenomenon racist, right? Except it's made by people and it affects people, so that's where the racism comes in. Read the fucking article. Different groups of people are affected disproportionately. Birth certificates. I just learned far more than I set out to because this is an informative history lesson that applies to contemporary politics. Bras. This one wasn't linked properly, but it's about nude tone bras. Simple. Watermelon. Doesn't say it's racist, says it's a privilege. Analyzes racist tropes about black people eating watermelon, ponders a few things. It's closer to saying that black people eating watermelon is racist. Air. White people get to breathe cleaner air. At this point I'm just reading the first sentence of the articles out loud, but that's all you need to do to show the legitimate examples of racism. Mouth. There was a famous one of this more recently, wasn't there? I don't know if I can justify that one. I didn't understand that one. But the site has instead gone for how data analytics perpetuate inequality, which is just true. Drones. This one is harrowing. Machines made to help the casualties of earthquakes are systemically ignoring non-white people. Literally systemically. Because they were programmed in a racially ignorant way. So we'll put that on our funny website. They're saying the drones are racist now. The Sejuros are saying that drones are racist. How can drones be racist? I thought I was setting myself a challenge with this video, and I thought I might end up meeting them halfway and conceding some articles, but the website just keeps serving up direct racism and then acting ironic when saying it's racist. And if you go and read it, you learn more than they ever can. I thought I was going to sort these articles into categories where some of them directly describe racism, some are misinterpreted by the website, some were just musing pieces given a sensationalist title on their source site, and some would just be flame bait written from a dishonest perspective, like, oh, bras are racist now? And maybe occasionally there'd be a silly, oversensitive claim. But I didn't really need that format because nearly every article is in those first two categories, and none I've read so far were in the last one. I think one facet to this is how the term racist is seen as incendiary more than descriptive. I think some progressive people and headline writers can get whimsical with how they use the word because they themselves don't fly off the handle as soon as it's said, but they know you losers will. Is your bra racist? It's a naughty thing to ask. It'll get the reader's attention. Obviously, they don't mean the bra harbors racist thoughts, but it's a broad way to put a good point, which is 5 sentences long. Source article isn't loads longer because it's a really simple point. This encourages understanding. The site makers of Literally Racist are desperately opposed to understanding, and they'll probably remain that way. But by failing to read the articles and still gathering and linking them, they've unwittingly offered a way to increase understanding for others. It all comes down to what we mean by the word racist. And note, as I say this, that several of these articles didn't even call anything racist. I think these drippy brains egotistically take every invocation of the adjective as a personal insult, as if it's accusing them of individual conscious racism. And they refuse to understand the grander, more imperative racisms, those that are subliminal, societal, long-standing. When I call this outlook conservative, I mean it's a panicked cling to a status quo where inequality must remain, a belief perseverance for dead strata where you're determined to laugh in the face of progress lest you recognize the harm in the system and have to accept change. Get over your dumb selves and you might learn something, but you'd lose your ability to ridicule faceted thought, analysis, understanding, and the urge to make things better for other people than you could ever stand them to be. Maybe you're one of the site's readers and that's how you got to my video. If so, note how the very first article they link involves presuming their readers empathize with Nazis, followed immediately by having racial rules for dating, and soon after by the traditional family's dog whistle. Consider those before you choose their side. This is not some centrist site. You can see the same thing done on the Twitter feed of the misogynistic, ineptly satirical character Tits McGee, sardonically labeling things as racist when they generally are, and showing sources where you can find out about that if you're more intelligent than the witless writer. This site is intended as a barrage, a gish gallop ridiculing how things are called racist at a pace that outstrips any understanding of racism. I'm sure some of its viewers see it that way, but only if they don't consider reading the articles, if they're overwhelmed by the collation. Me, I've found a website that collects interesting articles offering non-white people's perspectives on things I might not notice from my position of privilege. And it's all thanks to Literally Racist, the site that points out things that are literally racist.